from where she came from. I wish I could catch this fly that is sitting on my legs the whole time. It keeps biting me. It's very nasty. That's so beautiful. That's a lovely scene. And two of them walking together. I'm going to catch up. I'm going to jump up ahead and then pull over just so that you're behind me and also have a little look. Now, speaking of Tandi's previous offspring, Tamba, who's recently dispersed, and I was saying this the other day, he's actually doing what a leopard's supposed to do. Jeff, he's been seen regularly around by the Elephant Plains guides. He seems to have taken up residence there. And Tandi's agitated, just because the birds are alarming now. Tlalamba has decided to slink through the grass. You can see that tail's up. She's now a scorpion cat. And, yeah, so he seems to be doing fine. I haven't seen Tamba in a very long time. Off she goes again. Amazing how springy they are. So not only do these cats have razor blades as claws and on their feet, and now she's also got little springs in her feet too, bounding about.
Chambalamba lamba, chambalamba lamba, chambalamba lamba lamba la, chambalamba lamba, chambalamba la, chambalamba lamba lamba la, chambalamba lamba. It's a great name, that Tlalamba. It wasn't the one I voted for. The one I wanted was Mbulwa, which means pitiful. I quite like that name, but chambalamba lamba is a very nice name. I like it. We were just discussing, we'll tell you what happened to the lions now. We were just discussing Tamba, of course. Tamba has disappeared down to the salubrious environs of Londolozi at the moment. I think that's where he's gone. There are some kudu running away. Same ones that we saw before we saw the lions. Okay, so the lions are in thicket now. They got up, moved across the water, went into a leadwood thicket. We went and had a quick look there. We did see them kind of sticking their heads through. Got to within about 15 meters of them, into a position where if we'd pushed it further, they would have either got really upset and chased us, or they would have run off and got a nasty fright. So we just decided, let's nobody get a nasty fright. Let's just leave them be and carry on. Herbert's asked me if I wanted to dance today. I said, no, I don't think I do want to dance today. I think dancing's better for Saturday evenings, not the mornings. So we left the lions behind. Now we'll just make our way slowly back towards home, I guess, and see what we can find on the way. Nothing there. Very, very, very special to see lions on foot. I will be on a small high, probably till about 11 o'clock. Shoplifter? Great name you have. Are you getting hold of us from prison? Are you allowed to tweet from prison, shoplifter? They say, you say, exactly how closely related are leopards and lions? Well, they're in the same genus, which means that they are roughly as closely related as, wolves are to dogs, basically. Apparently, it is possible for them to interbreed. They don't produce viable offspring. In other words, their offspring is sterile like a mule is. But it is possible. And that means that they're very closely related. Same as horses and donkeys are. More than that, it's very difficult to say, to quantify it. I don't know. They've obviously got the same number of chromosomes, I think. But they can't produce viable offspring, so it's not like they're a different... this is interesting. It's not like they are a different subspecies of each other. Remember the spider's egg sac that we saw earlier? I think this is what made it, actually. I think this one is in the process of making such an egg sac. This is not a jumping spider. It is some other kind of spider. And our knowledge of spiders is so poor that I'm afraid I really couldn't tell you further than not a jumping spider what it is. I love the ones that live on these little grass stalks, though. They've got sort of a, a storybook quality to them. don't seem slightly terrifying. They are, of course, to their prey, but not to us. Now here we're waiting up there for an ant or some such to come up and try and take the seeds off that grass. Clouds seem to be clearing quite nicely, which is good news. And I'll just quickly remind you, of course, of our new show today, our new cabaret called Safari Lives this afternoon from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock Central African time. It's not actually a cabaret. I won't be singing. I won't be in drag. There won't be a lot of song at all, actually. It'll be a recap of the week, but a recap in terms of the stories of our main characters. And this week will feature Hukumuri and Tingana. They will be my story. Brent will be focusing on Thandi and Cub, and Stivovo will be talking about Hosana, and we'll show you some of the clips that have happened during the course of the week. We're going to head up, see what other tracks we can find, and yes, that's all I'm allowed to say right now.
Well, everyone, I'm heading towards Buffels Hoek now. As I said a little bit earlier, I'm trying to do a little bit of a peripheral scan, just trying to see if we can pick up on any of the other leopards that are in the area. Now, I haven't had any tracks or anything this morning of any leopards. And we only just got lucky with those Avoca lions, but at least James has been able to follow up on that, and he's been able to go in there and check them. Now, I think I might have just gone past the road going to Buffels Hoek Dam itself. We're now on the cut line. As you can see there, wonderful cut line. That's why it's called a cut line. It cuts straight through the bush like that, and this is very often used as a fire break or a boundary line that you use in the bush. Very straight roads like that, and then very often the straight roads like that, and I'm looking for the dam, so we'll wait for that.
Right, I hope we're not going to drive over any logs. Right, Tandi's taking us on a wild goose chase now into some very, very thick areas. We obviously want to try and keep tabs on her, because how great would it be if we could start the show this afternoon with Thandi and Tlalamba. Or maybe not Tlalamba, because I'm sure Tandi's going to go off and try and find something. Let me just answer Johan. Okay, copy. I'll stick with them. I think Johan is actually wanting to go on the other side and maybe wait there, which would be perfect. That would suit us very well, because there's no ways we're going to be able to cross this drainage line. Thandi girl. And our little Tlalamba is hiding behind the bushes again, so I wonder if she is plotting another attack. And if Thandi is going to be quick enough to bounce into the air to avoid being pounced on. We might not actually see it just because we're behind the trees, and I'll just let Tlalamba practice. She's seen as though she's set it all up. We might see a flash of spots in a little bit. Okay, no, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Me jump up again. So, obviously, Thandi's got an exceptional territory at the moment. I mean, sure, she goes everywhere, wherever she wants, really. So, Nandini, normally if it's a female, that mother will try and open up a spot for her daughter. So, for instance, like Karula did with Shadow. Oh, they're having a drink. It's okay, little precious. This is actually the closest I've ever been able to drive up to. Oh my goodness, I'm so jealous of all of you. This is going to be beautiful. Get ready for the screenshots. You're going to have to share them with me. So basically, mom would open up a space for her youngsters if it's a female. The males tend to move off and have to sort of disperse that way and find their own, and they can move very, very far away. Oh, this is so cool. This is absolutely beautiful. So not really wanting to have too much of a drink. Not like Mom. Mom's lapping up the water. Lots of birds also shouting within the area. Can you hear all those birds? Are you going to jump over the water, Tlalamba? couple more laps up. Very cool. Hey, we are just being spoiled like you have no idea. I don't know why those Franklins are actually alarming. Let me just tell Johan, oh, he's on the radio, to stand by where he is, because he's kind of going in that direction. I don't know why. Maybe a raptor of sorts actually flew over and has also now ruffled the feathers of other birds, because we're quite far away. Maybe there's another leopard. Tandi doesn't seem to be reacting though. And we know that the animals can understand one another. The squirrel's shouting at Tandi though. Squirrels now notice that Tandi's around, telling everybody. Here comes Tlalamba. Bounce. Very cool. Okay. Right. Just going to keep up. I'm going to just poke my nose over the edge here, just so I can tell Johan. He's just, I think he's just giving an update for us, which is quite nice. Just going to keep the car on, and we'll start. There goes Tlalamba, catching up to Mom now. I think if I go up this, I'll just go up here a little bit just to see. There we go. Right. I think this is a very cool little spot. They're going through a bit of a treacherous section.
A treacherous section indeed that we are going to try and emulate with our own treacherous section here. How treacherous it is. I'm trying to find something interesting to show you in this treacherous section, everybody. That's why I'm pretending that it's very treacherous. I've become stuck with something interesting to tell you. Okay, I can't find anything. What I will tell you is the following. We have started seeing bush babies again at night, which is great fun, and that is because, of course, now these winter months are coming towards us. The bush babies are running out of insects to eat, and they're coming towards trees like this one, the Acacia gerardii tree, which has been broken up by elephants, and what they're looking for, can't believe we've actually found this, is this thing here. I'm sorry, Sebastian, are you able to get down here? There's some tree gum.
Nice one on that side.
Some gum. You got some gum? Okay, so there we go. Oh, brilliant, some gum there. That's what they're looking to eat. And without the damaging effects of elephants and other browsers, of course, the tree would never bleed. And that means that the poor old bush babies would have nothing to eat. So we talk a lot about the damage that elephants do and that other creatures do, but there's always something to take advantage of whatever niche there is, whatever damage there is. And a bush baby survives in winter purely on this stuff. And it's no coincidence, of course, that it is during the winter time that elephants damage trees the most. Shall we taste it? I think I've done this before. Absolutely no taste whatsoever. It looks like it would taste like delicious syrup. It has the consistency of syrup. Absolutely no taste whatever. Have you ever eaten it, Seb?
Yeah, it's tasteless.
Totally tasteless. Well, the question is, do I swallow or do I spit it out? But I'm live, so I have to swallow it. The good news, you say nature's glue. Yes, I suppose it is nature's glue. It certainly ain't, well, nature's syrup. I suppose syrup's quite natural. I was going to say nature's honey, but I mean, there's nothing more natural than honey. Alrighty, let's continue through here. Bush babies, for those of you who haven't seen them, perhaps you don't watch our evening safaris, are little primates that look like koala bears or lemurs. They're related to lemurs, they're not related to koala bears. Let's go down through here. See what we can find behind this termite mound.
Well, everybody, we've come out here to Buffels Hook Dam, and it looks like Scuba Steve is not so shy anymore. I think it's the same animal, and I think his girlfriend isn't as shy either. Although, as I say that now, they're giving us the old switcheroo. But I'd like you to have a look at these two when they are up, because it would be very nice to indicate to you where we've got only two individuals, and we can quite easily sex them just from looking at them, even like that. And I know that some people find it very difficult to tell between male and female when you're just looking at their eyes and their face and their nostrils and their ears poking out of the water. But there is a very easy way to do it. And I only found that out a few years ago from a very good friend of mine, and he told me that. And ever since then, I've been so enlightened that it's made my life much easier when watching hippos to know which are male and female. But now that I've started talking, it seems like they've decided not to show themselves. Dale, good question. Are hippos related to whales? They do say that hippos are pretty much the almost the link between the land and the water animals. But it goes with their Latin name as well, with the amphibious part of it. But of course they will be related to whales in some way because they are mammals. But I'm not quite sure exactly how far they have evolved away from them, Dale. So now what I want to indicate to you is looking at around the eye there. You see how pink it is? That one is very pink, looking quite beautiful. And when the other one comes up, you will see a little bit of a difference. And they really are giving us the switch. Oh, and on the other side bank there, while we wait for the hippos to come up, there's a lot of goslings of the Egyptian geese. And those are very tentative parents, still looking after them. And Kirsten telling me that you guys saw them earlier. And that's nice. Well, they're all doing very well. We can do an update on the family of the geese. Everybody's fine, because those little youngsters could quite easily be somebody's breakfast. Oh, come on, there we go. Up you go. Catch up. That's it. Here, Mommy, she's calling them all into line. Come on, youngsters. They're all doing a little bit of feeding there. They are vegetarians. Here we go. There's the other one that's just popped up now. And that looks like Scuba Steve. Look around the eye, much darker. So the females, they've got much pinker around the eyes. This looks like Scuba Steve, who is a relatively young male, and he's got himself a bit of a sugar mommy, I think, because she's much older than him. She's a lot larger than him, that's for sure. There we are. There she comes, as I talk about her. Okay, I'm sure they're going to disappear now, and I think so are we.
Oh, like magic. All right, so we are going through a really cool area. I've never off-roaded here before, but there's a lot of erosion that's taken place, unfortunately, but it makes for quite a beautiful scene. I'm going to hop, skip and a jump over this little log, this time with 4 tires, so no falling. Tandi's just here. I don't know if she's seen something. We did have an Inyala, but she didn't see the Inyala. She had no idea the Inyala was there, so the Inyala is there. Oh, scrub hair on the other hand. Terrified. I just saw a little scrub hair, but it ran off under a thicket. Tandi girl. What have you seen? I think she's waiting. And this is a good area to find Inyala, to find bushbuck, to find kudu. There is the Inyala. But Tandi's now walked past it. Luckily she doesn't have eyes in the back of her head. She doesn't see the scrub hair either. Now, Leopards, of course, can be successful at any time. We've watched Tandi stalk earlier this morning. We are watching her look for something now. I don't know where Tlalamba's gone. I'm sure she's somewhere around here. So Colin, I don't necessarily think hunting early in the morning will make too much of a difference. I'm going to quickly just reposition where you can watch her. The best time of hunting is, of course, under the cover of darkness, because they have the upper hand. They've got much better eyesight than the prey that they're going after. So, right, into 4x4 we go. So let's see if I can sneak through here. Might have a little bit of a drop VM, so just hold on in case we do slide a bit. So, I mean, that is the best time for a leopard to hunt. I knew that was going to happen. Like I said, it's a little bit eroded here. So we're just sliding into some of the little rats. Go up and around. I mean, even now she could be successful. It's an overcast day. The problem is there's not a lot of wind. And wind is a leopard's friend. Any predator's friend. Oh, there she is. Okay, I'm just going to stop here. We're not going to actually be able to follow her for too much more. It's going to be very difficult if she carries on moving in the direction that she's going. Unfortunately, these cars can only do so much. I wonder if Tlalamba has been told to stay now. She's hiding in a little thicket of sorts. Tandi, don't go down there. I know you want a meal, but we also want to see you. We'd love to see you. Got very, very tattered ears. As you can see, her left ear in particular is quite tattered, so that's another way you can sort of identify her. And then look at those beautiful dark markings going down her spine. And very stunning. Not really rosettes, but more black blotches. All gotten quiet now. The squirrels have stopped alarming. The birds are not chirping as much anymore. And that will also be a disadvantage to Tandi. I mean, not only are the birds and the squirrels giving her presence away, but they're also inhibiting her from being able to maybe hear an inyala moving through the grass, or a little deka, bouncing about. I don't know if she's maybe seen something in the drainage line. She could have. She could have quite easily seen something down in there. See, she keeps turning her ear towards us every now and then. And like I said, if she goes down into this drainage now, I think we're going to have to say goodbye to her. I don't think we're going to be able to follow her for much longer at all. Oh, thank you, girl. Just one last glance. But she could turn around. She's done so many loops today, and she really has just proven to me today that unless you are on fresh tracks, it's virtually impossible trying to follow her footprints. Or she has seen something, but I don't know what. And it's in that drainage line. Because I don't think it's going to be worth doing an action broadcast, just because I'm not going to be able to get in there. And we're going to lose her, I think. I'm not going to start the car either, because she definitely looked like she'd seen something. She's now heading into this drainage. Once she moves a little bit more, I'll try and position myself one last time to look down into the drainage. But let's see if I stand up a bit, if I can see over the top. Okay, let me just try. I'm going to be driving over too many things. I'm trying to go slowly because I also don't want to roll the car. That would not be good. I can't see her anymore. Can you see her, Vim? Gone. She slinked down this sort of going down like that, and now I don't know where she's gone at all. I'll just sit and have a little listen to see what might pop out next.
Well, what's going to pop out next here is probably Ralph Kirsten. I think he's not far from where we are here. You can hear his vehicle coming. I'm just going around this termite mound, as I said I would before you last saw me. For those of you who are slightly sharper than the others, you will notice that it is not the same termite mound, of course. There is some very interesting grass here. Some Setaria, possibly Setaria sphacellata. Here it is. And it's flowering. my stick. You can see both the male and the female parts. Be much better under the microscope, this very interesting grass though. And quite a good grazing grass. And of course growing around a termite mound, even better grazing grass. And so if you look on the ground around us, you will see that there are huge bare patches, and that's come from a lot of grazing. And from the track here, I would say we've had some, I would say that was a nyala, but most likely an impala. And Wisteria Whisper, you say, wow, what a mound. It is quite a mound, isn't it? All the grasses here are flowering. I'm surprised. I would have thought it was slightly too late. Anyway, I guess it's probably a function of the rain that we've had. Just trying to see if we can't see some other tracks of animals here that have been grazing. There's some scrub hare dung up here, but I'm not going to bring Sebastian up here, all the way up here for that. Yeah, look at this. Here is Bothria cloa in sculpta, and that's also flowering. While we look at that, Robert, you want to know if I could survive. Do you mean me personally, or everybody on a diet of grass alone? Now the answer is no, you would die. We do not have the digestive systems capable of dealing only with grass, especially if it's uncooked. So I'm afraid not, no. The seeds of some of the grasses would definitely help, so if you could find sufficient panicum, you might be able to stave off death for a little while, but even they, not big enough for us to get sufficient nutrition into our bodies. You need to have the right gut bacteria to eat grass like this in order to survive. Not that many raw leaves are in fact useful to human beings as nutrition. I can think of spinach, definitely. Out here you could eat ziziphus, but the others, really, no, you couldn't. You could definitely find some roots and tubers that you could eat out here if you couldn't hunt. But I've always said that I think if you couldn't hunt out here, if you couldn't get yourself some kind of meat every so often, I think it would be very, very difficult, especially in the winter, to survive off the land. It's one of the reasons that this area has never maintained a large population of human beings, especially non-hunters. Carol, you say, which animals will eat this grass? Well, all grazers. Now, if you look around here, you can see it's been grazed free. So you would find buffalo love areas like this. There haven't been any buffalo around. Rhino, definitely. They move from termite mound to termite mound. But the most obvious one here is this nyala track. But nyalas don't eat grass. And I'm pretty sure that this is a nyala. Herb? Oh, he's gone miles away. I'm pretty sure that's a nyala. It's too widely spaced to be in an impala. But impala would love to come and eat here. Zebra. You remember those striped horses that we used to find here? They would definitely come here. Oh, and here's some warthog tracks. Warthogs absolutely would find this area delicious. There they are. You can see their white tracks there. I would suspect that most of this has been done by warthogs now that I've seen those tracks there. Alrighty, on we go. Around the mulberry bush, as they say. Wait. This is one of the most detestable creatures in the world. Look, it's a fly. I don't know what kind of fly it is, but it is a fly. I say detestable simply because I've been irritated by them of late, especially their cousins, the mosquito, in the night time, especially if you're kind of having a sweaty, hot night, and all you can hear is... It's not so bad if you are aware that the mosquito is not a malaria carrier, but the fact that it could be carrying malaria makes it doubly irritating. Anyway, he's quite an attractive-looking fly with his large, brown, bulbous eyes. Now, if you saw that on your kitchen table, you'd be sore tempted to slap it dead with your magazine. or your hand. If I did that here, you'd complain viciously that I was a nasty person. I am not a nasty person, and nor is Ralph.
Well, everyone, I'm just now really trying my best to find something very interesting. The sort of latter part of my drive has become a little bit bland, but that's the way it goes in the bush. You just need to keep looking and trying your best to see what's around. It doesn't always jump out at you, and the animals aren't always falling out of the trees either. So you just keep looking and keeping our senses attuned to the bush, listening out for any of those alarm calls, and trying to just get any signs of the other animals. But it's still been a good morning. I mean, we did find those lions, so that was nice, and it seems that Taylor has had wonderful luck with Thandi and Cub. So checking for tracks, listening for alarm calls. Now, Lisa, thanks for your question. Lion coalitions are, very often formed with males that are ejected from prides around the same age, and very often they can be brothers. So it's either brothers or different young males of similar age that are kicked out at the same time and come into the same area at the same time, obviously, and then just join forces. But the most common is brothers. But when you have, sort of coalitions of 4, 5 of them, that would then also possibly be from brothers, maybe from a big pride of lions that have ejected, a lot of the males that had been born into the pride. But you can have different pride males that have left or been kicked out, joining, and as I say, generally around a similar age or the same age, and then they join together. Obviously putting all their resources into one, and it makes it then easier for them to hunt, and also later then for them to establish a pride of their own. Now, that initial phase is obviously the most difficult for them, because they don't have the pride producing food for them anymore, and it's much like a person leaving home for the first time. You need to really find your feet quite quickly. Okay, humans now, we still do have a lot of safety nets for ourselves, and we are quite soft, I must say, as a species. But with lions, it's either adapt or die. So if they put their resources into one, so there's now 2 male lions instead of 1, well, you've doubled your chances of catching an animal. And whereas before mommy was running around getting all the food for you, now you've got to do it for yourself. You realize that it's the big bad world out there, and you've got to work hard for it. So, and that's when they actually start to grow in stature, in strength, and eventually, hopefully, that's when they gain all the skills that they need to make a pride of their own. We're coming down here through the Mlawati, and we're just really zigzagging, trying all the different opportunities, different options, to see if we can spot somebody like Hosana, Tingana, any one of those leopards, or anything else that may pop itself out. Jocelyn, the hardest animal or rarest animal to find, I would say, well, it varies from region to region, because where I'm from in the Eastern Cape, it would be a leopard. Really would be the most difficult animal to find. But here in Djuma, that's why we are here, is because there's so many leopard and they really show themselves quite easily. So that's one. But I would say here, I've been searching for honey badgers, and I haven't found any, although I did hear that some of the guides spotted a couple just recently. So that's one of the difficult and for me exciting animals to find here, but we haven't seen any. I haven't seen one since since I've been on Djuma at all. So as I say, just really dependent on the different regions. You can say that an animal is common but only in a particular area, and in other places is very rare. So, and I'm sure animals from where all around the world in different places, mountain lions or polar bears, or that might be really rare to see, but in particular places they're quite common. So all depends on the place. But if you are to say overall, especially for trailing and finding an animal, if you're walking in the bush and you're trying to find an animal, there is no comparison to a leopard, because they walk so stealthily, and if they don't want to be found, they won't. And you can speak to all the master trackers. That is the animal that's the most difficult to find. So, and that's actually what they use as the sort of final assessment, is the leopard.
That is an Nkuhuma tree, everybody. If you want to know why the Nkuhuma Pride is called the Nkuhuma Pride, well, this is why. Because they look, all of them, like this tree. Obviously. Yes. In fact, they don't look like this tree. They were apparently found in the shade of one of these trees, a much bigger version. But this is a brown ivory, and we very seldom are able to show you the leaves close up because they are tall and they don't have any sort of lower branches when they get big. But this is what the leaves look like, and they're extremely distinctive because they've got that obvious herringbone arrangement. Now, what's interesting about this brown ivory is that there's another one close by, and I wonder if we're not looking at a coppice from the same plant. Here it is. Here's the bark of the Nkuhuma, or brown ivory tree, Berkemia zairi. And it's growing right next to the trunk of a knobthorn tree. And I'm just thinking, I know exactly why this has happened. It produces a delicious fruit, does the Berkemia zairi, that is eaten by monkeys. And I suspect what's happened here, in fact here we can see exactly what's happened. Here is there is an old one, there's an old fruit in there. I think what's happened is that there must be another one around here. In fact, I do know of a much older one not far from here. And I suspect a monkey has come along here to eat his stash, or he's defecated his stash through his, well, I mean, it's gone through his digestive system while he's been sitting in this old knobthorn tree. And that's what's given rise, or could have even been a bird, but that's what's given rise to these two Berkemia zairi trees, brown ivory. Very nice. Sebastian will remain in that tree for the rest of the day. He's managed to get the pack completely tangled in it. And because I'm too short, I cannot help him. Sorry about that, Sebastian. I'll bring you some breakfast. Okay, now listen to me, everybody. Let me explain this carefully. There's a great deal of worry about our sunset safari today, that we've replaced it with some abomination known as Safari Lives. Okay, Safari Lives, our new show from 4 to 6 today, is completely live. It goes out on exactly the same platform as you're watching this thing now. The only thing that changes is that it's going to be 2 hours long as opposed to 3 hours long. We will be out for the first hour looking for animals from 4 to 6, and there will be a whole lot of non-live clips. So basically we've edited together the highlights of those 3 characters that I told you about today, but it's completely live, it's completely interactive. You can keep talking to us, and we're just hoping that what it will do is give us an opportunity to summarize the lives of our favorite characters, especially for those who are not able to watch for 6 hours a day or 3 hours a day or however long it is. And there are a lot of them, because you will find that there are lots of people who catch up on the drives afterwards. And so this is hopefully going to drive a lot more people towards our community of wildlife lovers through a kind of highlights package of our favorite characters. So that's all it is. It's all completely live. Nothing is non-live about, well, I mean, there are a few non-live clips, but they'll be explained and narrated live, and you can ask questions about them. And what we want to do is encourage discussion about those clips and about the history of the animals and the future of the animals. Where's Hukamuri going? What is Tingana doing? Is he getting better? Is he coming back to re-establish himself here? What's Thandi and Cub's future like in the face of the marauding Hukamuri male? Will the Tlalamba survive? Where's Hosana going to go? Is he going to set himself up here as his father slowly loses condition and loses health? Who's the other character? Well, those are the three characters we're focusing on today, or the four characters we're focusing on today. Is Shadulu going to take over the north here? Is she going to have a cub sometime soon? What's the story with the Avoca males? How are they going to integrate themselves into this area? So it's all those sorts of things. It's a discussion and it's a highlights package of how it goes. And Gillian, you say it's kind of like a Nat Geo show with recaps. Yes, I suppose it is a little bit like a Nat Geo show with recaps. You're talking about our Safari Live TV shows. It is, but it's going to allow for more in-depth discussion than we've been able to give during those shows. Those last shows were very quickly between all the feeds. We had 9 feeds coming out. This is very much based on the stories around our characters. So I'm not going to talk about... There won't be a bushwalk in this particular one. There may be later on, but there won't be in this one. I'm not going to talk about a flower unless it relates directly to the story of our characters. I'm not going to talk about elephants unless we see them. We might see them, and then in which case we will talk about them. We might talk about Fang, the character, but we're not going to break up elephant dung and look at them this afternoon, because that's not part of what the story is about. So it's very much driving a kind of narrative towards our very special characters. Okay. And maybe you say Safari Lives, the new soap opera. Well, that's exactly right. It's exactly what it is. And for me, it's like a weekend celebration. So, I mean, I know a lot of you are watching this in the US on Friday night, very early Saturday morning. But I'm hoping that it'll be like a weekend thing people can enjoy doing. In South Africa, it'll be a weekend thing that you'll do on a Saturday afternoon. In America, it'll be the thing that you do when you get up in the morning. You'll check out Safari Lives, what's happened during the week. And for those who can't watch it during the week, it'll be something to look forward to on a Saturday morning while you're having your breakfast with the family. And so that's what I'm hoping it will be. Okay, we're going to go down through this dip now.
Right. So, very exciting morning, hey? Filled with cats. Exciting prospects for this afternoon. Guess what? I'm going to sneeze again. It's coming. No, it's disappearing. I'm going to sneeze mid-sentence. Watch. Anyways, we've just moved out of the sighting now. Tandi disappeared into the drainage, virtually impenetrable. And then we also did see where she's stashed the cub. That little one is very nervous, of course, without mom, as you can imagine. I'll just quickly get out of here as quietly as I can. So I think Tandi's going to try around here. I think Tlalamba is going to have to stay. So it's going to be a good area to come and check in again for this afternoon. Let me quickly just talk to Ralph. Go, Ralph. No, you're welcome to. I was just saying that you can't be on a standby for a sighting and then in another cat sighting. You're welcome to go to them. Hakuna Matata. Sorry, there's a bit of miscommunication on the radio so obviously we have a couple of rules and regulations and things on safari, and one of the things is when you're on safari is you can't be on a standby for a sighting but then go into another sighting and then view that animal while you're waiting to get into another sighting, and sometimes you just take up spots. So I think there was communication differences. Not Ralph, our Ralph, another Ralph. So he was just checking, and I was like, no, of course you can, you're welcome to. But yeah, I was just reminding everyone, sometimes every property has different rules, and that's of course the rules here on Djuma. So very nice. Basically Tandi's back in the spot where we initially found her. Now what I will do is actually go on Inyala Road South, and we'll look back to see maybe we get another glimpse of Tandi. What did you see? Oh, I thought thought vehement. I thought you'd see something exciting. So lioness, I think it depends on the proximity to those animals when we sneeze and cough. Tlalamba will. She'll freak out a little bit because she's not used to those sounds. But Tandi, I don't even think she'd blink an hour. I sneezed how many times in that sighting? She didn't even glance over at me. So I think it also just depends on the individual and maybe how loud the sneeze and cough is. So if Tandi was right next to the car and I happened to sneeze, firstly, I'm going to cringe because I'd be like, I don't know what Tandi's going to do. You can't really move or do anything when she comes past the car. She doesn't like it at all. You've got to sit very still. Whereas like Hosanna, you could probably stand up like this and sit down and he just is like a house cat. He doesn't care at all. He looks, but he doesn't react. Obviously, don't do that, please. Please don't stick your arms and legs out of the vehicle, or else it might be your last safari.
Yes, well, everybody, I've come down here to where the potential hyena den was, and I wanted to get really close in and have a proper look into that hole where we saw Corky digging yesterday. And I do believe that we have not found ourselves a hyena den. So there's a little bit of an anticlimax or a letdown, but we've got some nice tracks here in front. And the reason I say that is because where she was digging, I think she was just literally making herself a little bit of a bed where she could lie down and sleep. You know, as a dog does sometimes, not to say that she's a dog, but similar in habits, in the way that you know, it might bed in a little place. So the hunt now needs to continue because yesterday, with having seen all of those hyena next to that elephant carcass, I did see where they all moved off in which direction. So I'm going to try and continue to find up and follow up. I'm still making it my mission. But, well, these are the kind of little signs that we find, and we can't stop. We're not going to get deterred just because the first time we found a hyena digging in a sign of a termite mound, that we're going to stop looking for the den. I know there's a den here somewhere around that's active, and I'm going to find it. But it's going to take us a little bit of time. We're coming now to the end of the show. I do want to thank all the wonderful guides, all the wonderful cam ops. I also want to thank all the wonderful girls and boys in FC. But most of all, I do want to thank you, the viewers, because without you, this wouldn't all be possible. And what a wonderful morning it has been. Join us this afternoon once more for another Safari Live. Goodbye, everyone. See you later.